I find that if your system starts to ask you a question, the answer is always yes, right? Am I drinking too much? Am I snacking too late? Am I skipping exercise too often? Am I spending too much money or shopping too often? The answer to those questions is always yes. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Let's take a quick moment to thank the people that support and sponsor the podcast. When life takes an unexpected turn, you deserve someone who will stand beside you. St. Louis attorney Chris Dully offers experienced one-on-one legal defense. Call 314-384-4000 or 314-DUI-HELP, or you can visit dullylawfirm.com. That's DULLE lawfirm.com for a free consultation. I'm thrilled to share that the Redefining Sober app is officially live. What began as questioning my own relationship with alcohol became a journey back to myself. And now I've created the support that I wish that I'd had. Redefining Sober is designed to help women explore, question, or change their relationship with alcohol while building self-awareness, self-trust, and a life that feels more aligned and fully their own. For a limited time, founding members can get a discount. Visit redefiningsober.com today to learn more and begin your journey. I'm so excited to have you join us. When life changes in an instant, hope often becomes easier to recognize. But what about the quieter moments? The moments when something feels off, when we're exhausted, disconnected, overwhelmed, or simply not feeling quite ourselves. The moments when life is trying to get our attention long before we're ready to listen. This week, I'm reflecting on those whispers, the subtle nudges, feelings, and experiences that invite us to slow down and pay attention, the ones that want us to reconnect with what matters the most. Because sometimes hope doesn't arrive as a dramatic breakthrough. Sometimes it arrives as an invitation to listen and to realign, and to come home to ourselves. This is Hope Comes to Visit, and I'm Danielle Elliott-Smith, and as always, I'm so incredibly grateful you're here. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about the difference between hearing something and actually listening, because if I'm being honest, life's been trying to get my attention for a while. For the past several weeks, I've been telling people I'm exhausted, and not just in I'm feeling a little bit tired lately, not in a normal tired or I need a really good night's sleep, but in a bone tired, I could fall asleep at my desk. The kind of tired that makes you question yourself. I've been wondering where my spark went. I've been struggling to feel motivated. My joints have been tired. I have found myself hurting in ways that didn't feel normal. And I'd been mentioning it to my therapist over and over and over during the past couple of, I don't know, let's call it 6 weeks. And she kept bringing it up to me and saying, hey, maybe this is something you want to get checked. And like me, I kept saying, well, I guess like a lot of us, I just blame myself. I'm sure it's my fibromyalgia. For the longest time in my life, I was diagnosed when I was 18. I find that I always think everything goes back to my fibromyalgia. If it's a pain, it's fibromyalgia. If it's a headache, if it's exhaustion, even if it's my stomach, I'm sure that it's fibromyalgia. And I really was just assuming that the problem was me. Maybe I wasn't being disciplined enough. Maybe I needed to take better care of myself. Maybe I just needed to push myself harder or somehow get over it. Finally, my therapist made me promise, make an appointment with the doctor. Well, of course, that meant I had to somehow fit it into my schedule, right? I had a couple of trips planned. One of them this past weekend, I was planning on going to see my daughter with my husband, with my ex-husband, with my ex-in-laws. We were going to Minneapolis to see Delaney, to go to the Cardinals and Twins games, to see a Lynx game, because I think I might have mentioned to you guys that my daughter is now working for the WNBA. She works for the Minnesota Lynx after graduating from Ole Miss, which makes my heart so damn full. But we had all of this stuff planned. And so naturally, as so many of us do, we think, how can I fit in what I need to do to take care of myself in and around everything else that's happening? So I finally made an appointment for myself, which was, in fact, just yesterday. I made this appointment to go to the doctor, finally to say, hey, what's wrong? But before I could get there, The last night that we were in Minneapolis, I had an itch underneath my arm. And I thought, okay, so I went to scratch and it really, really hurt. And I had a bit of a rash. This is where we're getting a little TMI. We're getting close. You've spent some time with me, so we're gonna get close. Long story short, I went to the doctor yesterday, and I actually went to the dermatologist first. And while I was there, I said, "Hey, will you take a look at this?" And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, baby, you have shingles." So, while this is not an episode on shingles, I have to admit having a diagnosis of shingles was not on my bingo card for this week, for this year. What I realized was that, A, I'm grateful that I have a diagnosis. B, I feel validated because all of these signals I was getting from myself, I was ignoring or trying to push off, but really my body was saying, "Hey, trying to get your attention here, Danielle, knocking on the door, want you to pay attention to me." And I kept dismissing it in the name of, there's so much to do. I'm sure it's just me. It's probably nothing. And our systems will warn us. Those gut feelings we get when we know something is off, we're supposed to pay attention. And so frequently we explain them away. We convince ourselves that we're lazy or unmotivated or dramatic or emotional or weak, or somehow we're failing when something deeper is actually happening. I started wondering, how many areas of life does this apply to? Not just our health, right? Life. How many times have we ignored? How many times have you ignored? How many times have I ignored exhaustion or grief or loneliness or resentment? We ignored the quiet voice that's telling us something isn't working anymore. Because the truth is, life often whispers before it shouts. A relationship that you're in, a friendship, a significant other, it doesn't fall apart overnight. Burnout doesn't happen overnight. Disconnection doesn't happen overnight. The signs are usually there. They're small at first, and it's easy for us to explain them away. They're easy to postpone. It's easy to ignore until eventually they become impossible not to hear. But we have to make a conscious choice to decide to listen. And maybe that's the question I've been sitting with lately. What in your life, what in my life, has been trying to get my attention? Clearly, my health was a big part of that, right? Hey, Danielle, you need to be taking care of yourself, because I don't know if you guys know anything about shingles. If you had chickenpox as a kid, the virus sits in your system and it manifests when your immune system is low or compromised and you're stressed. Well, guess who's been stressed over the past couple of months? This kid. So my body was kind of prime for the taking. I'm lucky in that it's not a very severe case. Clearly, you can't see anything that's going on with it, but it was affecting my body. It was telling me something is going on. Now, until it manifested, had I gone to the doctor sooner, would I have been able to get a diagnosis? I don't know. The good news is I have the diagnosis now, and I can now do something about taking care of myself. So what in your life has been trying to get your attention? Not in a fearful way, not in a shame-filled way, just honestly. And maybe what have you been trying not to hear? I find that if your system starts to ask you a question, the answer is always yes, right? Am I drinking too much? Am I snacking too late? Am I skipping exercise too often? Am I spending too much money or shopping too often? The answer to those questions is always yes. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I know for me, when I first started to say to myself, am I drinking too much? Or when I am drinking, am I going too far? I didn't want to face that question, because I didn't want to be the girl who had to stop. But eventually I was the girl who had to stop, because I wasn't willing to face the questions when they first cropped up. So I think part of what I'm trying to say is listen to yourself, right? What have you been trying not to hear? Maybe it's your body or your heart. Maybe it's a dream you've been postponing. Maybe it's grief you haven't fully acknowledged. Maybe it's a relationship that needs more attention or a habit. Maybe it's the realization that you've been surviving for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be totally present. One of the things I love most about this podcast, about the conversations I get to have here on Hope Comes to Visit, is that so many of the guests have experienced some version of this. Life got their attention. It may have been a diagnosis or a loss or a tragedy. Maybe it was a challenge or a turning point. Something happened that forced them to stop and ask, now what? Who am I now? What matters now? And while I wouldn't ever wish those experiences on anyone, I have noticed that something beautiful happens in each of those individuals. One of those moments has become an invitation for them. It's an invitation for them to pay attention, to realign, to reconnect. It's an invitation to start living life differently. Not perfectly, don't misunderstand. None of these conversations or even what I experience day to day is about trying to find a way to live perfectly. It's about living intentionally. And maybe that's where I find myself now. Not because I have all the answers. You guys know that I never, ever do, but far from it. But because this experience reminds me that our bodies, our hearts, and our lives are often trying to tell us something long before we're ready to listen. So maybe the question isn't, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Maybe the better question is, what's trying to get my attention? And what might happen if I finally listened rather than just acknowledging that there's something there and you're hearing something? What if you actually sat down and listened? Because sometimes hope doesn't arrive as a solution. Sometimes hope arrives as an invitation to slow down and to pay attention, to tell ourselves the truth. And perhaps most importantly, to trust that what we're feeling, it's worth listening to. You are worth listening to. Your gut is worth listening to. And as always, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for taking time to spend even a few minutes of your week, of your day with me. This podcast is a gift to me. It's a gift to me to listen to the stories that people choose and honor me with. And it means so much that you choose to tune in. If ever there is something you hear, I hope you will take the time to share it with someone else you think may need to hear this little bit of hope that needs to come to visit. Thank you, as always, for spending time with me. And until we get to spend time together again, take very good care of you. Naturally, it's important to thank the people who support and sponsor the podcast. This episode is supported by Chris Dully, a trusted criminal defense attorney and friend of mine here in St. Louis, who believes in second chances and solid representation. Whether you're facing a DWI, felony, or traffic issue, Chris handles your case personally with clarity, compassion, and over 15 years of experience. When things feel uncertain, it helps to have someone steady in your corner. Call 314-384-4000 or 314-DUI-HELP, or you can visit dullylawfirm.com to schedule your free consultation. I'm thrilled to share that the Redefining Sober app is officially live. What began as questioning my own relationship with alcohol became a journey back to myself. And now I've created the support that I wish that I'd had. Redefining Sober is designed to help women explore, question, or change their relationship with alcohol while building self-awareness, self-trust, and a life that feels more aligned and fully their own. For a limited time, founding members can get a discount. Visit redefiningsober.com today to learn more and begin your journey. I'm so excited to have you join us.